Hello, hello, beloved You-est listeners. Okay, so today is one of those days. First of all, you're going to want to make time and space to be able to listen to this interview in entirety. And I've got to tell you, I am so grateful. I have been a fan from afar of Gina DeVee for a long time. I love her heart, her authenticity, her story, her just all about living a divine life, about the rise of femininity. We're going to get into so many beautiful conversations, and I'm so grateful to have her and to share her with you. So I just want to thank you for listening, for tuning in, and you might want to get your notepad out, although I will have show notes. You're in for such a treat. Let me tell you about our beautiful guest today so you can get to know her. Gina DeVee's journey from struggling psychotherapist who lived at home with her parents to globetrotting entrepreneur has led her to founding her multi-million-dollar women's empowerment company, Divine Living. Divine Living is for the person who's excited about impacting the world, craves a spiritual connection, dares to be visible, and desires to fulfill their life's purpose. Amen. Amen to that. Gina is an author, speaker, and success coach. She has dedicated her career to helping clients connect spiritually, start businesses, create wealth, and live life to the fullest. Gina's mission is to uplift entrepreneurs through inspiring content, bold business trainings, and life-changing events. You can learn all about Gina at divineliving.com. And we will have all of this in the show notes. I am just so excited, Gina, to have you here and just dive right in.
Oh, Julie, it's so great to be here. And thank you for that warm introduction.
All right. Well, of course. And, you know, I hate this question of like, tell us your whole life, but I do think it's important. Gosh, I know this from my own self, being an entrepreneur, and the many women that I've gotten to know and you've gotten to know. I think it's important to talk a little bit about where you started, you know, from struggling psychotherapist. It's kind of mind-blowing because when you see what you're doing, it's beautiful, it's high vibration. Like, just maybe to share a little bit of what that was like and what started to help you to shift to who you are today.
Sure. No, I totally get it. I think the personal story, it's so important. I mean, first of all, we learn through stories. And I hope my story will bless your listeners. It's good for me to tell because it's good to remember where you came from. Yeah. And I think that for all of us as entrepreneurs, what we're experiencing right now used to just one day be the dream, you know, like yeah. Whether it was just we were in college and wanted out and like live the real life or whatever it is. So it's really good to reflect on where we've come from and how far we've come, because I think as entrepreneurs, we're always like, what's next? And what else do I have to do? And climb that next mountaintop, and just to really bask in the gratitude and remember that a transformation is actually absolutely available. I am going to answer your question, but I think it's a great nugget to start out with, that whatever anyone listening is looking to elevate, transform, create, you know, call in the miracle for now, like, you know, this, you've actually already done that. And I'm going to remind myself that when I share my story. So yes, I started out as a psychotherapist. I got a master's degree in clinical psychology, and I did that because I wanted to help people live better lives. I didn't know that when I became a psychotherapist, I became an entrepreneur. I thought like the clients would just come. And they didn't. And I thought I would just get paid, and I didn't. You know, I had to actually be visible. I had to set my rates, and that was not anything I was good at or comfortable with. So I always offered a sliding scale rate. I mean, I wouldn't even let someone I didn't even give people a chance to pay me my full rate. You know, they were like, oh, so what do you charge? Like, oh, it's $100 an hour, but don't worry, I offer sliding scale rates. We can do it for $50. Like, it was like, didn't even give them a chance. And anyways, I was working as a psychotherapist, and by the time you take taxes out and everything, it was like, I ended up living off of $24,000 a year, basically. And my mentality was, you have to work harder to make more money. So I would take on more clients, and I would take on more responsibility. And somehow I found myself working 75 hours a week, and I was still making that $24,000 a year. And I was still living at home with my parents. And this was a never-ending cycle. Like, there was no actual getting ahead. I was getting better at my art of what I was doing as a psychotherapist, but I wasn't getting out of debt. I was $75,000 in debt. I wasn't paying off credit cards. I wasn't, didn't have a life. And at this time, I started studying life coaching. This is like the 90s. So, the whole Tony Robbins Hour of Power thing was out. And, I would watch people in LA, and I just dreamed of living in the land of the beautiful and the wealthy people. Like, it just seemed like sunshine, and I was all about geographical cure. I was like anything, something. So I somehow got myself to California and gave up my license as a therapist, which my family was like, what are you doing? And I'm like, no, I was like, what am I doing with it? I have great respect for the field of psychology. It was just the business model didn't work for me. And so got into life coaching where I could charge in packages, which sounds sexy, but not when you sell, one every 4 to 6 months, because I didn't know about business then. Anyways, I came to LA with a dream, and like basically everybody here does. And I followed that dream. And really, when the student is ready, the teacher appears. And I started to meet people that knew about internet marketing. And I started to meet people that knew about wealth consciousness. And I studied everything that came along my path. And I think the biggest thing is I was a student, I studied, and I didn't give up. And that's how I got to where I am today.
Oh my gosh. What a powerful story. And I just can imagine were you from the Midwest, if I remember?
Right. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, I'm just thinking, and I'm sure others can relate, like your parents, your family are probably like, you lost your marbles. Like, what are you doing?
My mom asked me 6 months ago, what is it that I do?
She still asks. That's awesome.
She's like, my friends are coming over. What do I tell them you do?
You're like, all right, just leave it at like, I help people.
Now that there's the book, she can say an author. It's much easier.
Right. Here's the book, read it. So, I mean, something inside kind of guided you. You followed it. I actually would love to talk for a minute about wealth consciousness around worthiness and charging what you're worth. I think for women, I mean, I know you studied it, you teach it. I got to say, I've gone through my own healing around that. That has been a journey. I think we have our family, what we're raised with, what we, as women, I worked in a corporate job where I made less than, the men that were doing something similar. And it's been, good learning, but I'm curious what you've learned, what you teach around that, because I really want the women tuning in. This has got to change how women see themselves. So let's do it.
So wealth consciousness is the psychology of money, basically. And I, like most people, was living a lie. I took on other people's beliefs about money and I took them as true. I believed that money was scarce. I believed that money was hard to make. I believed that I shouldn't charge that much. I believed that I shouldn't even want that much money. I believed that it was bad to focus on the money. I believed that if you were just a good person, money would come to you. None of it's true. None of it's true. There's more than enough money in the world. Money is currency and currency is energy. When I learned there's more than enough clients in the world, when I learned that my desires weren't wrong also, so even though I believed all that stuff, by the way, then I always had a flair for the finer things in life. So talk about like a juxtaposition. I'm not supposed to want money, but what I truly desire and enjoy and like has a high vibration of money. And I'm kept myself in a low vibration, but I didn't see it that way. I gave permission for other people to make money. It's okay to make a lot of money if you were a rock star, if you were a professional athlete, if you were a singer, a movie star, but not someone in the helping healing profession. So I had all these, I'm not even going to call them warped ideas about money. They were all other people's values and beliefs and rules about money that I never investigated and never developed my own up until that point. And then when I started learning about wealth consciousness, I realized I get to make my own money rules. So it's like life. I get to make my own rules. There's a lot of ways to do life, and there's a lot of ways to view money. And as long as you're in charge of how you view them, and and really taking a look at, do you like your money rules? Do you like your money beliefs? If you don't, then change them.
Mm. Ooh, I love this so much because it gets us out of that space of feeling either trapped or like it just is that way. And I, especially in the healing, in that whole world, I've seen this where, and then I think with coaches, with people in that role where, I've had before where I share what I charge for coaching. I've had a lot of experience, whatever. And I've gotten the whole like, wow, that's a lot. Like, and so how to, maybe you can talk about that, how to deal with, there are others that still have that belief, and that's okay. But I love what you're saying. You said investigating your own beliefs, and do you like them, and do they work for you? And then when you have others that come with their beliefs, sometimes, I don't know about you, I'm a recovering people pleaser. That can feel very uncomfortable sometimes. I don't know. Have you dealt with that before?
The whole people pleasing. Yes, I write about it a lot in the book, the whole Little Miss Perfect and the disease to please. And that was, other than the money story, that was the other biggest story that robbed me of my real life and what was really possible, which is why I'm so I'm so determined to live every day to the fullest, to be as conscious as I can about my thoughts and my choices so that I'm never a victim, that I'm never envying anyone else's life, that I'm never settling and saying I should just be happy with what I have. And never telling myself that someone else can do something, but I can't, if I desire it. So, what was the question?
Yeah, I know, like, I'm not even sure. I just love what you're saying. Well, I think it's getting this bumping up against, we have society. And I know I want to get into your book and what you teach, but it's easy to bump into society, especially women.
About charging too much and prices. So
and wanting lovelier things, that whole.
Yes. So I don't know where I want to start with this. So the prices that you charge or can charge must be a vibrational match to who you are. So it's not even about someone having more talent. Because when I was a psychotherapist and doing that work, I was very talented at it. I was very gifted naturally. My mother became a psychologist, so I was around that conversation and environment. And I had a deep spiritual connection. So I always was very good. Now, have I gotten a bit better over the years? Yes. But I remember when I was charging that, $50 sliding scale rate per session to when I was charging $10,000 for a 1-day intensive.
Yeah.
I remember at that point, I wasn't that much better at what I was doing. My wealth consciousness had raised, my ability, my vibration had raised. So that's why I was able to get that. So when I say that, I remember when I first saw someone else charge $10,000 for a day, and I was like, whoa, like, first of all, who does that? And then once I got past that, I was like, second of all, wouldn't that be nice? And then I remember praying and asking, well, I want to do 1-day intensives. Like, what's my rate? And I heard $1,000. And I remember looking at this woman who was charging the 10 grand, and I knew she was not better at this work than me. I knew I was more educated. She didn't have a master's degree in clinical psychology. But her wealth consciousness was higher. Yeah. Her self-worth was stronger. So she had a higher vibration when it came to receiving money. Yeah. And so I didn't compare as much as I learned, and really celebrated her for, like, look at, if you have less skill and talent and can charge more, like, good for her. Like, yeah. And so but when I got my $1,000 number, I didn't feel bad about it. I didn't complain about it. I wasn't like, why not me? I received that with gratitude because I could tell that was my financial frequency at the time. Yeah. And I said, and I put it out there that my day rate was $1,000 and sold one like that. And then I think that person referred someone to me, and I raised the rate to $1,500 for the day. And then I kept raising it from there. And so I think that just people really understanding there's a couple of things. There's a vibrational match. So like what those who are entrepreneurs can charge. And then there's what does someone value it at? Because, now, my highest package at the moment is $125,000. And I've been charging somewhere between 100 and 125 for over a decade now. And in fact, that's actually how I crossed 7 figures the first time. I had a very small list. I had 5,000 people on my list, and I sold 12 people $100,000 package that year and made 1.2 million.
Yeah.
So where I'm going with this is those people that sign up for the $100,000 packages, they've never been the wealthiest people on my list. They've been the people that have valued it the most. So when people are like, where are all the high-end clients? Where are all the high-end clients? That's not the question to be asking. It's like, go where you're wanted, not where you're needed, or who you think can afford it. Because if someone really values what you offer at the right frequency for you and them, they will come up with the money.
So well said. You said a few things, said a lot of things. I'm like, I'm gonna hone in, because I can hear people listening thinking, okay, how do I raise my vibration? How do I raise my wealth consciousness? I love your example of the 1,000, the 1,500. I've experienced this myself. It's like this shifting in the knowing of who you are. And maybe you can share if there's tools, beautiful. I mean, I've been observing you, and but I'd love to hear it from you, what you teach and what's helped you. What do you do to help others? Because this is really, I love this conversation, Gina, because now we're really talking about like getting our essence, getting our spirit, who we are, money, as you said in the beginning. I love that. It's just, what is it? Currency is energy. Money is currency. Currency is energy. We're energy. So how do we raise our energy so that, and I also love what you said, this is for everybody. This is not, everyone can do this. That's why I love this conversation. Anybody and everyone who wants to, this is infinite. So, all right, I'm going to stop talking. I'd rather hear from you.
No, it's so important. So how do you raise your vibration? Number one, read, because there is an education to it. For me, you may not know this about me, but I'm a 180-year-old white man on the inside. So I only read old white men books, but anybody can go read what they want. But I read Think and Grow Rich and The Science of Getting Rich back to back. Yeah. And just immersed. But there's a lot of other great books, and there's great books written by women. And, my book will probably help you with some of that as well.
Yeah.
But that's what I did at the beginning, was I started educating myself on what my soul knew to be true. Is that there's more than enough money in the world, that there isn't this lack, there isn't scarcity. I always grew up a religious person that turned spiritual. And it was bizarre for me to understand how much my religion kind of like had money wounding around, like, I was supposed to focus on it, I was supposed to give it away. It's not, and how unspiritual any form of lack actually is. And so I think as I really started to create my own money values, and I would read these texts, they were about money. They were oddly quite spiritual in their inclination, actually. And so that's what I could really latch onto, was the infinite, the miraculous, the ability, the law of attraction elements. There's work in doing elements as well. So I would say, if you want to raise your vibration, the first thing to do is just read high vibrational books, and read specifically books about wealth consciousness. And also be really conscious to what books you're taking in, because, God bless Susie Orman, and that philosophy is not resonance with me. Like, I don't want to save my latte money. Like, it's just not, it never did happen when I was broke, and it definitely doesn't happen now. Like, it's not what I want my money rules to be. And those are perfectly acceptable rules for other people, but not me. So make sure that you're reading books that really speak to your soul, because you're going to find books that tell you, every end of the spectrum. But I was reading books that was teaching that money was infinite and that it was available to everyone, and that it wasn't based on all the rules that I used to think it was, that someone had more talent or someone was more deserving or someone was lucky or any of that. So that's the first thing I did. The second thing I did was, and your audience is probably familiar with this, if you want the best personal development seminar on the planet, start your own business. So another way to raise your vibration is to start your own business, because then you're going to be looking at all of your stuff, all of your wounding, all of what is not authentically you, all the stuff that needs healed, which will then make you stronger, which also raises your vibration. So actually putting yourself into the game, and you don't have to have your own business. You can work a corporate job and do the same thing, but it's, working on you will raise your vibration. And then I would say the third piece is surrounding yourself with others as well. So the way that I went from charging, what did I do? I went from charging $10,000 packages to $50,000 and then to $100,000. But it's because I started putting myself in the same room with the people who were doing it. And the thing that really helped me was not a strategy that they gave me. The thing that helped me realize is they were not different than me. They did not know more than me. They were not better at me. They were great at what they did, but there wasn't, the only thing that they did that I wasn't was giving themselves permission to do this. So I would say really be around who has already manifested whatever it is that you want, whether it's a rockin' body, whether it's motherhood, whether, be around those who have already accomplished what you want to accomplish, and you will manifest it faster.
Oh, so good. This is like delicious. When you have a good meal, I'm like, thank you. I feel like we just had like the best meal. I would love to talk about your book and why you wrote it, and, the audacity to be queen. I love it. I love your stand on femininity. Like, I'm sorry for it to be such an open question, but like, we could just start with the book. Why did you write it? And within the time frame, what we can get from it. Cause I love the name. I love what you stand for.
Thank you. It is, this was not the book I thought I was going to write. So I think that's the other thing that people need to get about, creative endeavors and career. Like, we make our plans and then like we're informed. This is not the book I thought I was going to write. But it became the book that I wanted to get to the masses. And what I mean by that is, as you've been hearing, I've been very high touch, low tech. I've been very, the luxury brand of personal development. Yeah. And the people that have come to my programs have invested significantly, and they've gotten significant results, and that's all been great. I really wanted the masses to get the message of what we're talking about here today. And so basically what I did was I bottled up 20 years of my experiences, my clients' experiences, and what I teach at my seminars and in my programs, and put it in a book format, because this being queen, it's a movement. Like, the age of queen is now. Women everywhere, all over the world, are getting it. We're getting that we can have it all, that we are meant to have it all. We can have it all at the same time. We're meant to use our voices, create our impact, and have beautiful lifestyles, and have love in our life, like all of it. And so it's the right message for the right time for the right women.
Amen to that. And I think this, the rise of femininity, and really getting also the power of queen, feminine, to me, that's been a missing, a couple thousand years or so.
Yes. Yeah. And the way that we're going to do it all and have it all is not the way it's been done. Women blowing out their adrenals and getting exhausted and going into burnout, or becoming so masculine they don't even recognize themselves. That is not the message of this book. This message is about get great at receiving, because the feminine is all about receiving. Receive your love, receive your wealth, receive your recognition, receive your visibility, receive your beautiful lifestyle.
Yeah. Where do you start? I guess before we wrap, I am curious for those, for me, what I've seen is that I've been able to expand in learning how to receive. It was not always comfortable. I think we're programmed to give, especially I have kiddos, I have this, and it's been a process. It's been a process. I'm much more able to today. Where do you start? You know, for someone who's like, it's just not comfortable. I'm not used to it. Which of course shows up in health, like you said, adrenal. I mean, it all shows in our body, of course, but.
Yes. Well, I will say this for everything. It is always awkward before it's elegant. And so when we, you know, and I'll write more extensively about, I write extensively about it in the book, that if to the degree that anything is not working in our lives at the level that we desire it, all comes down to our injured feminine instinct, which is our inability to receive. I mean, it's something I'm still working on as well today, you know, like you have gotten better at it, but I certainly, you know, it's part of the journey. So whether we're feeling uncomfortable receiving a compliment, receiving money, receiving love, receiving attention, you know, all comes down to that awkward stage. But if you make a commitment to get really great at receiving whatever it is you're looking to receive more of, then you will, and you will see the progress, and you will see it's only difficult at the beginning because it's actually returning us to our natural state. And so when something becomes so natural, it feels good. And then the opposite is actually what starts to feel awkward then. You know, so it's like, just like receiving air in our lungs, like breathing in and breathing out. If we're not receiving the right proportions of that, it feels awkward. And so, and then when it's natural, it's just there. So it's then the opposite becomes the uncomfortable piece.
Yeah. Oh, that's beautiful. All right. Lastly, just because you've obviously, to manage your vibration, there's got to be things that you do to stay in that high place of receiving and vibrate. Can you share with us, Gina, some of the things that you do daily that help you?
Well, first of all, I live by my desires. So that constantly fills me up. I celebrate daily the big successes, the little successes. I will turn anything into a party, a celebration, a reward ceremony, all of it. Like, it's just I reward myself constantly. So I, you know, you get then, and the more you fuel your own desires, the more you want to go and create and contribute, all that. So it keeps you really happy and keeps you in high vibration. And then there are definitely habits also, and habits should also feel pleasurable. Like my morning routine is a habit where I read, I journal, I meditate, I work out. So that's like a good foundation, the habits, but staying in high vibration is really about living life by your desires.
Awesome. I have
no sacrifice.
I have never heard anyone say it that way. And it was like, you know, when you hear a truth bomb and it's like, shoom, that you live by your desires. I hope everyone you listening, even if it's a little baby step in that direction, what you just said. And I actually think that could be a healing agent for our planet if we really tuned in. Because to me, that's connected to heart. It's connected to your heart, connected to your higher self. That is freaking awesome.
Oh, I'm so glad.
Yeah. Thank you. I just, even your whole brand about divine living, it's just, this is what we need. And I hope everyone your book, looks everything up and really learns from you, Gina. I feel like in your, I don't know how to explain it, learning community family for a long time, just reading what you put out there. And you're so connected to your heart and who you are. And I just so appreciate what you're teaching is so needed right now. So it is an honor. We need you and this so much so.
Thank you. Well, come on over to divineliving.com. If you go to /book, you can get the book. There's all the different forms there. But also, even if you don't get the book, if you go to divineliving.com /Audacity, I have a free companion course that goes with the book. So if you like this conversation, there's videos, there's workbooks, there's a thriving Facebook group. I'm in there. So definitely you can get your hands on more good stuff there.
So fantastic. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
So
Definitely.
thanks for having me, Julie.
Yay.